Hi, welcome to the Energy Imbalance Podcast. My name's Michelle, and today I'm going to be looking at how to cleanse your crystals. So some really simple and safe methods of energetically cleansing your crystals. Now, I'm not talking about getting out the soap and scrubbing them or whatever you envisaged this means. When I say cleansing your crystals, we are talking about the energetic imprint that is on your crystals. Now, one of the things you need to remember is that crystals have structure within them, and within this, it's been scientifically proven that particularly quartzes can hold information. And so within the spiritual community, it is a very, very common belief and understood that crystals will hold information of the things, the vibrations, and everything that's happening around them. So these are energetic imprints, if you like, that can be negative and positive. And the reason you cleanse your crystals is because of the negative aspect of it. And that negative aspect might be, let's take a circumstances where you've had a rough day. Oh my goodness. And stress has been through the roof. There's been a bit of anger thrown in. It's just been everything. You've had your good old faithful necklace on, crystal necklace on. And throughout the day, it has picked up your stress, your anxiety, the energy that's around you, everything like that. And so it's held on to that. It's got that memory of what's happening and what's happened around you. And so you might take it off, and the next time you wear it, your energy shifted a little bit because of the imprint that's on there. So what we need to do is make sure that we have that fresh crystals so that it's a clean vibration, and that clean vibration can come back and assist us in everything we want to do, because that's why you use crystals. That's why you use energetic objects. That's why you draw these things into your life. You draw these things into your life so that there's a subtle shift of energy. And these, let's say, moonstone. You pick up a moonstone crystal and you draw it into your life because you want some emotional balance. And you're feeling that need. You're feeling a little bit unsettled. You want to reconnect with that goddess within. And so you've picked up this moonstone. And if it's still holding on to negative events of the past, then it's not going to bring through exactly what you need it to bring through at that point. The energy has shifted because of what it's storing. So we need to cleanse them. We need to cleanse them on a regular basis. Some need it more often than others. Some hold it. Some don't need cleansing at all, like your selenites and different crystals like that. But when you really should, and it doesn't matter if you cleanse them if they don't need cleansing, if you throw them all together to be cleansed in the same thing, if that's part of your routine rather than having to go, oh, this one doesn't, this one does, you can do them all at the same time. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's no fixed rules about cleansing crystals. What I like to do is regularly cleanse all of my crystals. And when it shifts, I like to, if I've worn them for the day, I like to cleanse them overnight, so they're ready to go the next day. But that's just me, and I use crystals quite often, as you could probably imagine. But some of the points when you really should regularly cleanse your crystals are after any emotional upset or your periods of stress, overwhelm that I touched on earlier. If something like that happens, give them a good cleanse. After healing work. So if you've done any energy work with them, unless there is a caveat here, unless you're specifically putting intents into crystals, then after energy work, particularly if you're working on other people or subtle things, you need to reset them and start at a fresh point. different if you're setting the intention and you're working over a period of time on a certain subject. As long as there's not an emotional upset that is going to be detrimental to the energy, keep on that intent, keep working with them. You can also pick up a crystal and it can feel really heavy. It can feel dull. You're not feeling connected to it. There's a certain barrier that seems to be there. That can be due to energy blockage as well. And I like to do it before I am setting up a crystal grid, setting up a essence, doing any specific crystal work, so that the energy that is behind that crystal work is coming through from the purest level. As well as that, I mean, any crystals that go out are cleansed from this end, but I always do recommend that you do a thorough cleaning of crystals the first time you use them. Once you get them, everything else, because, hey, not everyone does it the way that I do. And so just habits. Really, the habit of cleansing your crystal is something that you will find is going to be a very positive thing for you moving forward. As I touched on earlier, there are certain crystals like your selenites, your black jets, kyanite, other ones that don't need cleansing because they're self-cleansing. They don't actually hold any of this information. They just bring through that pure energy all the time. And then you've got the opposite side of it, that you have ones that should be cleansed much more regularly because they just suck it in. Fluorite, black tourmaline, things like that just hold that energy all the time. All right, so what are your different methods? People think it's a complicated thing, but it's not. You can use so many different methods for cleansing your crystals. There are some of them my favorite ones and some that aren't. The first one is what I like to refer as a mindful reset. And that's just when you're in your meditative state and you are completely at that level and you are focusing on, personally, I like to focus on white light within it and pushing everything out. Sometimes when I'm in that focus, that meditation of cleansing a crystal through thought, I can become aware of like dark pockets that are within it. And to me, this is the representation of the negative energy that's been held in there. And I like to push that white light out and through so that all of that is dispelled and there's nothing inside it except the pure energy of what it is. Now, you can do this by open-eyed meditation, or you can do this through mind meditation, if you like. Mind meditation is the way I do it because I take what is inside the crystal right the way in there and I do it and push out, expand my point of center right the way out and clear all of it. At this point, you can also do a intention into it, if you like. I don't tend to do intentions into my crystals as such. What I tend to do is if there is a specific purpose that I want the intention on, then I will put it into that crystal. I will make sure that it is written. I will do all of those types of things. However, if I am just cleansing a crystal so that I can access that information, then I don't tend to put that intent on it. All right, our next one is moonlight cleansing. Moonlight cleansing is exactly what it sounds like. Simple. Pop your crystals out in the moonlight, leave them overnight. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to wait for a specific moon. A lot of people like to do the full moon. They think it's at its fullest, but there's different energies right the way through the different moon structures. So again, it comes back to your intention. If you intend for new growth and things to happen, then it tends to be a new moon because you've got that building energy. But any moonlight will actually do it. So when you're using moonlight, Remember, weather matters. Okay, some crystals do not like to be rained on. So make sure you really do follow exactly and understand what the weather conditions are. A simple way to do this is you can put it on a windowsill so that you've got that energy that comes down from the moon and it's protected from the elements. But moon, it's really about common sense. It doesn't matter if it's overcast or a beautiful bright day, because the energy of the moon is actually still going to come through. So with moonlight crystals, it's a simple, easy way to do it. And particularly if you want to change the energy into something a little bit further, so that you're using the energy of the cycle. But it's a really simple way to do it. Our next one is, and this is probably the one I use the most. This is the one I use the most because it's the most convenient. It's the easiest of them. I have a bowl where I have selenite in the bottom. This is particularly with my jewelry. Bigger crystals, I work a little bit differently, but any jewelry, pop it off, put it in the bowl, selenite on the bottom, and leave it overnight. Leave it for 3 hours. Leave it for as long as you can, and you're done. I just find that it is so simple, so easy. Most people will have selenite in their crystal collection, and they come in the rods. I find that 3-4 rods will sit beautifully on the bottom of a crystal bowl. I tend to use glass in this case, or nothing at all. You can make a bed of crystals, of selenite, and then place the crystals on top. I do this as well with my essences and everything else, just to keep that continuous protection that comes through with it. So using selenite is a beautiful one. You can also, selenite can be really big and chunky. So one of the other things I do like is a piece of black jet. And black jet I really like as a crystal, as a stone. It's an organic stone, comes from, the best black jet actually comes from salted, so wood of a tree that has fallen into salt water and has then gone to the right conditions to fossilize, so petrify. If that makes sense, that is the highest level of your jet. Normal wood that's just gone through the process does it exactly the same. But if I can find it, and when it's around, it's not around as much, I do like your black jet, for your saltwater black jet for this. Okay, our next one is smoke or smudging. This can be done in a lot of different ways. You've got different ones as well. Some of my favorite for doing it is your North American tradition of your sage, white sage. And that's for cleansing and purifying. Now, in your Asian parts, you've got your sandalwood. Now, sandalwood doesn't seem to be, sandalwood as a piece of sandalwood is not as common to see around. But you do have a lot of incense, pure incense that can be used in sandalwood, that can be used for cleansing, and it's a very earthy way to do it. You've got the Middle East traditions, the ancient traditions of your different resins. Now, my favorite resin to use for cleansing purposes is by far frankincense. It really has, in fact, I have a regular purchase of frankincense where I'll burn it. You can buy the little charcoal buttons, if you like, that you then can just burn it on a regular basis, and it's a beautiful way to fill the house and really cleanse out everything. You've got your South American tradition of the Paleo Santo. Again, I love Paleo Santo for releasing anything that's happening, and it's one of those ones where you have to be a little bit more careful with. It's not like a sage stick a bundle that you can wave through, because it's wood and it does burn. So I tend to use it more in a smoking context, if you like, where a fire is used and you can put it over it. Just watch, some crystals don't like a huge amount of heat. Now, the next one is eucalyptus leaves. Now, I had to throw this one in because it's a beautiful one, and some of the ceremonies I've seen, traditional ceremonies in Australia, where they use your eucalyptus leaves to purify and cleanse, it really is beautiful. And as you know, you probably don't know, but fresh eucalyptus leaves thrown on a fire will make a tremendous amount of smoke and heat. Each one of these different smudging techniques, depending on where you come from, choose the one that's going to be the most convenient for you, as well as the one that resonates with you. As you probably heard, I use quite a few different ones, depending on the action and what I want to use when I want to use it. Next one we're going to look at is sound cleansing. Sound cleansing is beautiful. You can use your crystal bowls, your metal singing bowls, chimes, tuning forks. You can use Om as a vocal chant to do it. But you can also use specific frequencies of recorded sounds, etc. So what you're doing is, let's take an example and then you can filter it right the way through the different ones. You've got a crystal singing bowl. You can use the crystal singing bowl, and I know some people will place the crystals inside it, will place the crystals outside it, because the vibration will move out as well as be inside it. So you can use either way depending on what you want to do. Some people will hold it, and this goes for the metal singing bowl as well. So what you're doing is you're making the sound, making the vibration, because sound is vibration. And say you've got the tuning fork, you're making the tuning fork vibrate, and then you're bringing it in close. You don't have to touch it because the vibration moves out. So you're putting that vibration through the crystal so that you're resetting it. That's a nice, easy, simple one I like to use as well. All right, the next one is earth cleansing. Now, some people really love this. Again, it comes down to weather. It comes down to everything else that goes around, the challenges that can revolve around it. Some people like putting it back to the earth, particularly your more earthy grounding crystals like your obsidians, your tourmalines, and everything else. One of the things you need to be aware of when you're using earth cleansing is the crystal going to be damaged by putting it in the earth? Can you put it in a secure spot so that it's not going to be dug up, it's not going to be damaged, you're going to remember where it is? So as long as you've got those two things in mind, the placement and the weather conditions, and you want to use that earth cleansing one, because on some crystals it really is a beautiful way to do it, because it brings through that energy of the grounding and it matches the crystal's energy. But as long as you have those two things in place, then it's a wonderful one to use, but just really keep them in consideration. And don't use your things like your selenite, your calcite, your lepidolite, fluorite, or angelite that are soft, wet crystals. Again, you can use the moon phase when you're working with any energy outside, because you're using the cycle of the earth. It's a subtle cleansing energy, and it really will bring things through, but it is a great way to do it. You can also use salt. Some people love this. I'm a little bit, again, this is another one that you can damage your crystals. I live in a highly humidity filled area, and so leaving salt out anywhere, it can become a puddle. So my salt lamps need to stay on constantly, because they will weep because of the humidity that I live in. So in some areas, this is a beautiful, perfect one. But where I am, I haven't used it a lot. I haven't used it a lot just because of my environmental conditions. But laying your crystals on a bed of salt will certainly help to activate them and to cleanse them. Sunlight. Sunlight is harsher, so you need to be more careful. Some stones don't like, they've been buried under the earth for as long as under that heat and that pressure. And then you bring them out to sunlight and it can damage them. It can hurt them. So sometimes I really say, if you're going to use sunlight as a cleansing method, use it in the morning or the afternoon so that you don't put it out in the full sun, so that it's more subtle. It's a subtle cleansing energy, and it's a shorter one just to revitalize and bring through that energetic burst that the sunlight does bring. Now, some people like to say that clear quartz is a fantastic way to cleanse your crystals. I'm not a fan, because clear quartz is one of the crystals that really needs cleansing on a regular basis, because it is that typical hold energy crystal. So if you've got clear quartz, then you need to make sure it's clean before you use it. Yes, I'm not saying it can't be used. All I'm saying is it's a bit more fiddly and it can transfer energy a little bit more. What I'd like to say is get into the habit of cleansing your crystals regularly, because that energy shifts can really make a difference with how you use. Now, you don't just have to use cleansed crystals. If there's spiritual objects that you use that you want to cleanse, that are symbolic to you, there's nothing stopping you from getting sage and smudging it. An area has had a bit of a rough time, can have a cleanse. Cleansing doesn't just have to be about your crystals. Cleansing can be right the way through your life, so that you can make sure your house is cleansed, make sure your crystals are cleansed, make sure you're cleansed. So clearing energy, I guess, is a better way to describe this. Now, that wraps us up for today. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard, then please share it. You never know who's out there of someone who could benefit from what they hear. So let's move forward and let's change the energy that's around us so that it's better. One day at a time, one little bit at a time. Every time we change energy and shift it for the better, we're changing the world around us. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next week.